Science for Everyday Decisions, series by Center for Sustainable Development at the Earth Institute, Columbia University, for your consideration for a more sustainable life through education for sustainable development.
We will be focusing on microplastic, and Ishaan Bharadwaj has been working on microplastic for the past couple of months, and we want to learn from his research and see if we can get some inspiration from his work. And we'll wait for his presentations to be over, and then we can ask the questions. So
I just have a, can you see my mouse moving?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll hand over to Ishaan. Ishaan, you want to take over and do the presentation?
Should I start now? Okay. Microplastics. Okay. Hi, my name is Ishaan Bharadwaj. I'm a 6th grader in Millburn Middle School, and I'm an eco-ambassador from Millburn, New Jersey. I first got introduced to microplastics back last year. I'm Marlene, a student at Columbia University, came to a local park center to speak about microplastics. I was really interested in this subject. I started reading about it. I wondered, since microplastics are everywhere, could they also be in my tap water? I hoped to prove myself wrong. I took a small sample from my tap water and ran it through a filter. I'll explain the filtration system later. And guess what? I was really surprised to see microplastics under the microscope. I grew even more curious. Now, I wanted to know, is it just my water, or does the problem exist in other regions in New Jersey? Could the amount of microplastics in tap water samples be affected by other factors such as population or industries? This is where I started my research with Emerline to test the water from different counties in New Jersey and quantify the amount of microplastic. So, what are microplastics? Microplastics are pieces of plastic smaller than 5 millimeters. They're broken down from macroplastics, and what macroplastics are they are big pieces of plastic that, such as a toothbrush or a water bottle. Microplastics can be injurious to small marine animals, such as fish or seabirds. Microplastics are found in almost all sources of water, such as oceans or lakes or rivers. There are 5.25 trillion pieces of microplastics in the oceans. Microplastics are small particles of plastic that are smaller than 5 millimeters. They're classified into 3 groups. Microfragments, microbeads, and microfibers are the 3 classifications. Microplastics are so small that sometimes they can pass through a filtration process without even being filtered out. My research shows microplastics have been found in 2 counties so far in New Jersey. Classifications of microplastics. Here is a microfiber. Microfibers are thread-like plastics that have the same width throughout. Microbeads are tiny spherical-like plastics that do look like beads, and they used to be in Purells, but now that's illegal. And lastly, microfragments. Microfragments are irregular plastics that are basically everything but microfibers and microbeads. My hypothesis. It's hypothesized that the amount of microplastics in tap water is higher in industrial and more populated counties of New Jersey than in non-industrial counties and low-populated counties. This is a list of counties tested. As you can see, Monmouth and Ocean County here are more coastal and near the ocean than these counties. And my hypothesis is that Monmouth and Ocean County have more microplastics than all of the other counties because they have more population and they have a few industries. My procedure. 1 liter of the water sample should be filtered using the filtration system. Remove the filter paper with forceps or tweezers and stain them with a chemical called Nile red and leave it overnight. Carefully take the filter out with forceps and observe it under the microscope under a UV light and orange filter. The Nile red adsorbs or sticks onto the plastic particles. When observed under the UV light, the microplastics would fluoresce and could be counted. This is a diagram of my filtration apparatus. Here you can see a filtration cup. The filtration cup is where the water runs through. This is the sieve. The filter paper that filters out the microplastics sits on top of the sieve. This is the rubber stopper. The rubber stopper allows vacuum so that the vacuum, which is connected to this rubber tubing, can pull air from the filtration cup so that the filtration can go faster. And this is the beaker. The beaker collects the water that goes through the filtration cup. Okay, so these are the filters of these 6 counties: Morris, Warren, Sussex, Passaic, Essex, and Ocean. Passaic by far has most microplastics out of all these 9 filters. Passaic has more impurities. We're not sure if all of it's microplastics, but Passaic has more impurities out of all of these. In this one, Monmouth has most impurities out of all 9 of these counties. This one's Hunterdon, this one's Somerset, this one's Middlesex, and this one's Monmouth. Quantification of the 2 counties that I have tested so far. These 2 numbers are the approximate amount of microplastics in the sample, or 1 liter of in 1 liter of tap water, which is the sample. In the Sussex sample, there was 150 microplastics, to be approximate, 150 microplastics, which is a lot. And in Passaic, there are 850 microplastics, and that is a very drastic change. So I plan to see why Passaic has more microplastics and some of the other counties. So these are a few images of the microplastics, and when I was counting, I took a few pictures of what the microplastics might look like. So this is one of the microplastics from Passaic County. It's a microfragment, and it's glowing, so you can tell that it's a microplastic. These are a few microplastics from Passaic County. There are microfragments. These 2 are from Sussex County, and they are both microfragments. This one is from Sussex County as well, and it's a microfragment. It's glowing a lot. This is a microfragment also from Sussex County. This is a microfiber from Sussex County, and you can tell because it's thread-like and it has the same width throughout. And lastly, this is also a microfiber from Sussex County. And I'm going to continue the quantification for the remaining 11 counties that I have not tested yet. Thank you.
Thank you, Ishaan. I think this was wonderful to hear about your research, and also very worrisome that we are drinking. Are you basically saying that we are having plastic in our water, in our taps?
Yes, we are having plastic.
And then you've identified these counties. So I wanted to know, how have you taken these water samples? When you say Sussex County, or you say whatever, different counties, how have you collected the samples?
For each county, we collect the samples from different towns and cities of the counties.
So basically like tap water from various places?
Yeah, tap water from various counties, yeah.
Okay, great. Any other question?
Related to the source, Ishaan, the tap water, did you know someone in each of those counties, or were you taking it from like the park water source? I was very curious as how you had access to all of them.
Yeah, for some of the counties, we got the tap water from relatives and cousins and from their houses.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes we got it from like stores.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
Great. The initiative and the reach you had is really remarkable.
Thanks.
Ishaan? Can you guys hear me?
Yes. Yes.
What?
Introduce yourself and your grade, and then you can ask your question, please.
My name's Yuvi. I'm from 6th grade, and I have a question. If you go back to slide 11, there's this one that stands out, Somerset. What is that?
Yeah. So that's actually a variability. We're not sure because that filtration might have gone wrong. That's probably we have to repeat that county to make sure there was like no contamination in that, or there was probably some little thing, like there was probably something in the bottle that we collected that.
Any other questions? Ishaan, how did you come up with this idea to test the water taps and the water? Just wanted to get some background.
Yeah, so Emmeline, she came to the Bauer Center in the center in Millburn in September, and she spoke about microplastics in clothing. So I was curious if it's in water, because if it's in clothing, it can be in the air also, and then could it be in water that we're drinking?
So that led you to do some tests to see whether the water that we are drinking has microplastics in it.
Yeah, yeah.
Great. Any other questions?
Ishaan, this is Shilpa Anand. I wanted to ask you, how did you figure out the filtration system? Who helped you with it? Did you look up online, or was there someone to help you with the filtration system?
Yeah, so the filtration system, I got inspiration to make that like from real filtration systems. So I tried to make everything like homemade, like sort of I tried to make it my own, but I tried to follow the same like mindset. Like I tried to make it, yeah. Yeah, so I got it from someone.
So you basically used home material and looked up online to figure out how to make a filtration system?
Yeah, I had home material and then I made it from there.
Yeah, very impressed.
Yeah, the tubes are actually from steel straws that we weren't using, so I just cut it. My dad helped me cut it up and then put it through.
Very nice.
Hey, Ishaan.
Hi.
This is Purnima. I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you have any ideas for coming up with a filter that people can actually use to filter out these microplastics?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't, I wasn't really going to, yeah, I mean, we could, like, if we made a few of them that people could use, but this is the filter paper that I used wouldn't take out all the microplastics. It would take out the ones that are bigger than 3 microns. So it would not really be the best one.
Since you've come up with all these things already, I think it is something I would think you can pursue.
Yeah.
Think about it.
Yeah.
But this is just awesome what you've done so far.
Thanks.
Ishan, I had a question about your filtration cup. How did you go about um, making that filtration cup?
Yeah, so the filtration cup, well, there was a few glass bottles lying around the house because like we don't want to waste them and throw them out. So I just looked at it and thought like that sort of looks like a funnel. Like the top half, it sort of looks like a funnel, and we just pried open the cap and it worked. So yeah.
Do you have like a glass cutter or something?
Yeah, we used a
Um,
glass cutter. There was actually a method to do it. So you have to basically um you have to so first you have to glass cut it and then like put it over a fire so that it would become black, and then you would have to put ice over it and then do that 3 times, and it's breaks off because of all the repetitions. And
wow, that's very homemade, and it
yeah.
looks so like what we would use in the lab. So I really like that you created your own filtration cup, from
Yeah.
materials at home.
Yeah.
Hi, Ishan. This is Purnima again.
Yeah.
Maybe you can quickly show us, maybe not today, maybe another session, show us exactly how you did all this. I mean, it's just so interesting.
I can maybe take a video of how I do the filtration process and then send it to you guys.
That's
Yeah,
actually a
that-
great idea.
yeah.
And we will be happy to post the video, and if we get more comments on the process, or any additional ideas, I think that will be fantastic. I also wanted to share in this forum. Let me see if I can send it via the chat section. I'm sending this article that came out in our Columbia University magazine on plastic. It shows the intensity of plastic around the globe, and what's happening. So I think the students here who are around on this call, if we have I don't know if you guys can access this link in the chat section. Can you see the chat section, and can you access the link?
Yeah, the link is accessible.
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
Maybe click the link and let's open the article and maybe read out, or have your own comments on maybe 1 or 2 lines about the article. What jumps out to you the most? And we had actually given this homework on Sunday, so if you were not there on Sunday, that's also okay. I just sent out the link, and let's see how is Ishan's work so relevant, and what perspective do we have on when we see this plastic everywhere. It's one of our magazine articles which have been cited also quite a lot. So read out. Yes.
It's really interesting that like 15 tons of microplastics get put in the ocean every minute. It said that like in the second paragraph.
Let me see where this is written. It's
Yeah, maybe Ishan, can we go back to that slide?
Oh, yeah.
wow. So 15 tons of plastic is dumped in the ocean every minute.
It's in the second paragraph. Well, 8 million tons of plastic end up in the ocean every year, and at that rate, that means 15 tons are go into the ocean every minute.
Oh my God, that is the amount of plastic. So clearly, all the toothbrushes and all the toothpaste and all the plastic cups and all the plastic forks and spoons that many of us take to our schools or use in our schools and at home find a way into the ocean, and they are finding a way into our water bodies and in our taps. And that's what Ishan's research showed, that it is coming back to us. We are throwing all this plastic material in the oceans, and it finds its way into our taps, into our food. I'm sure, I don't know if Emmeline, do you have a sense of anyone doing research on plastic that comes in our food?
Right. Hi, are you guys hearing me?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Yes, right now, we have some high school kids at Lamont. They were investigating, well, quantifying the amount of plastics in shrimp. Some of them, some other high school students have done some research on oysters, other fishes, and they have been finding a lot of plastics. What I know is that with respect to the shrimp, they looked um, they looked at shrimp from different areas, different regions, and they found that the shrimp in Ecuador contained the most amount of microplastics. So, it's safe to say that we are consuming plastics, but with respect to the shrimp, it was only found in their digestive tract. So once you clean the shrimp properly, you may not be consuming the microplastics from the shrimp. Um, and with respect to the oysters and fishes, it's safe to say that we would be consuming microplastics from those sources of food.
Wow, this is scary. It's
Yeah, you
something,
really have to.
yeah, go ahead, Emmeline. And
You really
also
have to be careful
yeah,
with what you're buying.
yes. And what is your current research, Emmeline? And just your background also, we are lucky to have you with us. Just wanted to share your background with everyone and also tell everyone about your current research, please.
I am currently a student at Columbia University. Last summer, I did an internship at Lamont where I was researching the the amount of microfibers that that comes through laundry effluent. So every time we wash our clothing, microfibers are being released, and we wanted to know which type of cloth would actually release the largest amount of microfibers. And what we found was that polyamides, any sort of clothing that is made of polyamide, they released the largest amount of microfibers. And on the other hand, we saw that recycled polyesters, those released like the least amount of microfibers. Um, Another aspect of that research was that we were comparing the use of detergent, whether or not detergent affects the amount of microplastics or microfibers that are being released. And indeed, detergents do affect the amount, it increases the amount of microfibers that are released during the washing process. Another aspect of this research was determining the amount of microplastics consumed by very low trophic levels in the aquatic environment, such as zooplankton. And we saw that the zooplankton contained many microfibers, fragments, and beads. So, from that, it is safe to say that these microplastics accumulate or bioaccumulate as you go up to the trophic level. So, again, that is another source whereby which humans consume microplastics.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Emmeline. I think this is very helpful to know that you are working not only on just food or plastic, visible plastic, and quantifying it. You're actually working with fibers to see and clothing to see which combination has more microplastic, and how it is, and quantifying and seeing. So we clearly have recommendations on the material that we should be buying. And I believe there is also some Columbia research on the fashion industry, and how which material is most sustainable, which has most and which has most plastic. So I don't know if you have any tips on which is the most sustainable material as of now based on the current research, and which material we should avoid.
So far, you really want to go for natural fibers. So those are fibers made up of cotton, wool, silk, hemp. So when you're purchasing clothes, you really want to purchase clothing made of those materials. Those are the best materials to use, the most eco-friendly materials to use. If you want to go synthetic, the best synthetic material you can use is the recycled polyester, because we saw that those shed the least amount of fibers, both with and without detergents. Um, so, fibers that you want to avoid would be polyester, would be polyamides. You really want to avoid polyamides as much as possible, because those shed the largest amount of fibers during the washing process. I can pull up an image to show you. Let me just get that image to show you exactly what the polyamides look like.
And Emerline, while you're doing that, I'm sure all of you, the callers here, know what 5mm looks like, but I just happen to have this little thing. For me, it was just alarming to think all the plastic that we throw away break down into, this is 1 centimeter, so half of that, 5mm mark. Just really thinking all that plastic we throw away is breaking down into tiny particles like this, and it's being absorbed into our body by food. That was also a bit alarming to think about. So I just wanted to show a little visual of what that sizing looks like.
Yeah. I have a quick question. So if food already contains the microplastics, and most people wash like broccoli, and the water contains microplastic, you're not taking anything off. The microplastics are still going on the food. So is that still harmful for the body in a way?
Okay, so currently we are not sure how microplastics affect our bodies, because there hasn't been much research done on the effect of plastics on our bodies. So what I can tell you is, yes, we are consuming the microplastics, but we are not sure how this is affecting our bodies. There was another research that indicated that certain medications, they stick onto these microplastics, and if it is that we are consuming microplastics with medication stuck onto them, we can assume that it is bad for our body, but there's no data to show exactly how it affects our body.
Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
it said that
I have a quick
the-
question.
Just introduce yourself and then ask the question. Who is that?
Okay. Vidya Bindal. So my question was, if we keep if we have those microplastics in us, wouldn't we build like an immunity to them? So wouldn't it start not being as harmful to us then?
That is something I will not be able to talk about, because I'm not sure exactly how these microplastics are affecting our bodies. I haven't done any research on the immune system or the effect of the immune system of, microplastics on
So
our
Evelyn,
bodies.
basically what where we are heading is that we have no health impact related research yet, conclusive evidence that this is how microplastic affects health, even though there is some anecdotal evidence, some sporadic, observational studies. It can cause cancer, it can cause, other things. Nothing of it is conclusive. But what we can say for sure is that the plastic issue, which was very we thought the magnitude is very small. We can find these small bits of plastic, including microfibers, in the deepest oceans, in our water taps, in our food. They are everywhere, and they may be invisible to naked eye, but they seem to be seeping into every aspect of our lives. And health research is yet to happen, but you are focusing on, and then Ishaan is focusing on his research, which shows that plastic is coming in places where we would not even imagine, for example in water taps. So Ishaan, based on your research, can you tell us the names of the counties again where you found the plastic issue, plastic in water to be the most prevalent in those counties?
Yeah. I'm just gonna. Actually, one fun fact is that we eat a credit card every week. That much plastic.
Oh my God.
Fun fact, we eat
Wow.
credit card. Okay. So here you can see Passaic has a lot of impurities. We're not sure because we tested that. So yeah, there's a lot of microplastics in that one. There is 850, which is a lot for 1 liter.
So Passaic has a lot of microplastic, and the yellow region is basically, it basically shows the amount of microplastic, right?
Yeah,
microplastic and impurities both, or just microplastic?
Impurities include anything but pure water. Like it can be like it might be microplastics. We didn't test this yet. Some of it might just be possibly not. It's very rare, but organic matter, but that's pretty much filtered out in the wastewater treatment plants. But I guess the yellow parts are just anything but the pure water.
I have a comment.
Yes.
So I just did some research and I found out that we are releasing 5.5. So we are releasing 5.5 of our water. So how much water the Earth's holds is like a lot, and we're releasing about 8 million tons of plastic every year. So I found out that every year we are releasing 5.5 percent of the water, like 5.5 of 5.5 short tons. 5.5% of that plastic is actually going into the water. So if the water we had right now was 100%, then after a year, it would be 105.5%, including the plastic. And this has been going on for a long time. So 25 more years and our whole water system could be filled up with plastic.
Wow, that is a dangerous picture. And it's really good that you're doing this futuristic calculations, because then we try to figure out the magnitude, and we try to figure out what will really occur in the future. But in terms of the present times, I think this is a very dangerous trend to follow. And so I want to know, okay, now we've understood that plastic is everywhere. Well, how are we all cutting back on the use of plastic? Are we doing certain steps in our house, in our schools, where we are trying to reduce the incidence of plastic in our lives? So maybe just give some tips so that we can all learn from each other.
So I think one thing that would be really good if we somehow took out all like cups that we drink from, like throwaway plastic cups, because generally kids throw away a lot of water. Like I just went to the 6th grade TJIF, and I saw kids that were like drinking like one sip of their water and throwing it out. And if they held that water for a long time, which I saw a lot of kids, they held their water, the plastics inside of that cup could actually break down into the water and could cause even more microplastics to form. And this time they wouldn't get out because the drain doesn't have a filter. It's usually that the water that's coming out does.
I think the plastic, you said the plastic breaks down in the cup. I think that forms after a really long time.
Oh, my bad.
It doesn't, yeah.
Yeah.
And also at the TGIF, they were using like styrofoam cups while they could have used paper cups.
Yeah, that's even worse.
So what are we doing to cut down on plastic? Are we doing, we've observed, we've seen the magnitude, we go to all these parties, we go to school, we have our own, dinners and lunches. Are we doing anything to cut down on the plastic waste that we are generating? Because clearly it is coming back to us. So
At my school, I go to the Millburn Middle School. Pretty much everything in the lunch line is made of plastic, like the containers. Except for like the plates, everything is made out of plastic pretty much, like the boxes, the utensils, etc. So so nowadays I used to, in the beginning of the year, I used to buy like lunch pretty often, but nowadays I just bring lunch every day. So
great. So you are cutting down on plastic from school. We are bringing our own reusable spoons and forks, stainless steel utensils from home. So we are avoiding, plastic. Even if you avoid one plastic a day, I think it amounts to a lot because we are so many people. So we can cut down on plastic waste by even doing like, these small things that we can do and can that amounts to a lot of different small changes that will happen across the year and across
Yeah.
any other thing, what I did was I actually will bring my go ahead Ishaan. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. So I live in Millburn, and in Millburn they haven't stopped plastic bags in ShopRite yet. So whenever we go to ShopRite, and we get our groceries, I think a lot of people do this also, so that's good. We don't throw out the plastic bags after we collected our groceries. We have this place where we keep the plastic bags in our house, and whenever we need to carry something somewhere, we just reuse those because they're like clean. There's nothing dirty about it, so we just reuse the plastic bags that we get from our groceries, and yeah, we don't really throw them out.
Same in my family. We have a giant closet for all the bags we get.
I just wanted to add to this plastic prevention. So I know some other high school students, they conducted some research on the type of detergents that we use. And what they found was that regular brands of detergents contain a lot of microplastics compared to organic brands of detergents that you would find like in Trader Joe's. So you want to be mindful of the type of detergent that you're using. You want to use the organic brands of detergents. That's a suggestion for reducing the amount of microplastics that get into our oceans. As well as you want to choose your fabrics wisely when you are shopping for clothing. You want to look at that label and make sure it's recycled polyester or natural or made of natural fibers, synthetic, not synthetic, you want to use like cotton, wool, hemp. Something that I've started doing as well, I have stopped using the clear cling wrap paper to wrap my food in, and I've moved on to using like a glass container to carry my food at school rather than using that plastic wrap, because we do use a lot of plastic there's a lot of plastic packaging for food, and you do want to deviate from that and go ahead and use not even like your plastic containers, but you want to use glass containers as well.
Yeah, Emerline, do you have any brands in your mind that are plastic free of detergents?
Well, I definitely know. I can't say, I wouldn't say 100% plastic free. There are
Yeah.
detergents that have significantly less amount of
Okay.
microplastics, and that would be like the Trader Joe's brand.
Yeah,
they
they have a lot.
they have less, and I did promise to show you some pictures of the microfibers. I'm going ahead and share the screen, my screen. Is that okay?
Oh, yeah.
Can everybody see?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so this black one here is the polyamides. That's what is being shed when we use polyamides. This one here and these here, these are the recycled polyesters. The purple and this black here, those are fleece. So, you know, when you're looking at your microfibers and which one is shedding the most, you can clearly see why we do not want to use polyamide clothing. This image that I'm going to show you here, this is what I was telling you guys about the detergents. These on top, these are the organic brands, and you can see that there's a significantly less amount of microplastics compared to the regular brands. So you definitely need to be mindful of detergent brand and clothing fabric.
One thing I would like to add is like gum. Gum is basically like it has a lot of microplastics in it because they don't think you're gonna actually swallow the gum. But gum usually has a lot of plastics, and gum is one of the things I see a lot of in the trash can. Like whenever you go to a trash can, there's always some type of gum there because it's so widely used, like thrown out, that it's amazing the quantities of how much gum is being like thrown away.
I just want to add something. So, I don't think gum can break down, but I think that there was this one lady who started creating high heels out of like chewed gum that she found everywhere. But she would like clean out the gum and like turn them into high heels. So like she would like reuse the pieces of gum. So like she would turn it into something else. So like at least that way, you know, it would like last a bit longer. So it was quite something.
So basically, Vidya is talking about reuse so that we can have another cycle of the same product. So for example, if you go to Trader Joe's, the plastic toothbrushes that you find over there are recycled plastic. They were something else earlier on, and then Trader Joe's recycled the plastic to make plastic toothpaste. So if you have to buy toothbrushes, so if you have to buy plastic, then that could be another form of you are minimizing the plastic waste, and you are using products or choosing products that are recycled. Another thing that I did was I have stopped using plastic toothbrushes, and I use a wooden one. So or a bamboo toothbrush. That's another way of like reducing plastic in your life. Even if you save, we throw away so many plastic toothbrushes, right? So that could be another way where we can cut down.
One question.
Yeah.
So, what would be better? Like, if I had a choice of like a recycled toothbrush and like a wooden or bamboo toothbrush, which one should I go for? Because like, they're both good, but like, which one would be better?
That's an excellent question. I would go for the one that is natural, because you will have to throw away that plastic in any case, right? So might as well throw away the one that is biodegradable rather than taking something if you have an option. But I would never go for a fresh plastic product because that is coming out of nowhere. If you are buying it, the companies make more of it. So basically, if we are given the option, I would go for a biodegradable one. But there is also no harm in using the recycled one because at least you are promoting the business of recycling and reusing the plastic. But very good question. I don't think I have a clear answer. That would be my preference, but maybe others have different preferences as well.
Just to add to the point about the choices of things we buy, I know as we're spending more time at home, you guys are probably aware, your parents or you yourself are going to get groceries. Just one thing I've been trying to do on a small scale is when there's packaging for the same type of product, just going with a product that's wrapped in cardboard or paper instead of the plastic one. So when I was getting my rice and pasta, just looking at the packaging, I've been just going with whichever one has a paper wrapping and not a plastic packaging.
Hello.
Hi, John.
This is
Hi,
John
John.
from Rwanda. I want to thank the young man for this research. It's quite interesting and eye-opening. We didn't know that we actually have a lot of microplastics in the water we use, because they always tell us that it is purified. So my question is on if there is, because for us here we have had a total ban to use of plastics, and we've seen a tremendous reduction in use of plastics. When we go shopping, we use paper bags. We have some other locally made fabrics that we use for all this, in a way to reduce on plastic use. My question is if he was able to find out if there is a correlation between the amount of plastics being used in different counties and the microplastics that he was able to identify in the water. Because I understand in the US, different counties, different states use plastics at a different level, if I may say. So is there a correlation between the amount of plastics that are used in different counties or states and the micro plastics that he was able to find in the water? And also, is the sample he took representative of the microplastics in the water? Because he said he took a liter, I think. So if he was given a second chance to take another liter from the same location, would it give the same results? Thank you.
Thank you, John. So John is asking a very valid question. But before the question, I want to just say that John is speaking from Rwanda. Rwanda, the country itself, has banned plastic bags. So when you are in the plane itself, the people, there'll be an announcement from the plane which will tell you that you can't take any plastic bags inside the country. And I wish this was the case in our places also. I wish it was the case that we are not, we don't get plastic in any of these counties and in any of, the countries that we belong to. So, just that background. But John's question is very valid, Ishaan. He's basically saying, if you have a chance to go to another place, will you be able to, if you go to another county and collect the data, will you be able to have the same results? How representative is your sample? And so maybe you can answer that question first.
So could I do it in another place, basically?
If you go back to the same counties and collect one more liter of water, will that give you the same result?
Yeah, so if I do it from the same exact place, it might not be the exact same because the microplastics, because they're in water, they might sometimes spread and they might not be in one place. I mean, it's probably not going to be exactly the same number, but it might be somewhat near that because it is the same town. But if they somehow allowed to how do I say that? If they sort of reduced the plastic by the time I get there or something, maybe it would be different. But it would technically be the same with the same exact thing.
Can I just say something? So there's this website that I found today that I was getting these ads for again and again. So I checked it out, and it's called oceanhero.today. So it's basically like a search engine like Google, and it does everything that Google does except for every 5 searches that I do, like they will remove one like plastic bottle from the ocean because they're getting money from like displaying everything because people are paying them to let it show. So yeah.
That's very interesting. Thanks, Vidya. I think it's a good, another suggestion to remove plastic is to follow these searches so that you can reduce the plastic by doing your own search. I think that's great. And Ishan, I think you're absolutely right because at least logically, it seems like the source of the water is the same. The water from the taps are coming from the same place. It's given by the government. And so probably you will get similar results if you collect the varying the taps will not really make a difference because the water source is the same until unless you are going to a home that is a completely different source, which generally doesn't happen, and you're not collecting water from water bottles. So I think it is kind of representative. The number of families will not change because the source of the water for all these families are clearly the same source. So you will probably get in the same ballpark as what you have got already.
Yeah, there's actually, if you take a county like Monmouth County, for example, or Ocean, actually, Ocean's a really big county. It stretches like really long. So Ocean has a lot of wastewater treatment plants. So each wastewater treatment plant might have a different filtration system. So if you get it from the north of the county, it will definitely be different from the south of the county.
Oh, so it will be different, huh? But
If
I would
you take it
assume
from
that the
different
filtration systems are from one source, and so the process of doing the filtration should be standardized.
Yeah,
Or will that be different also?
the process.
The process of doing the filtration in
Yeah,
all these different filtration systems will be standardized, right? It will be the same.
for all of them, I'm
Yeah,
not sure, but it might be different
it might be different.
because they are different companies, so they might have different ways of doing it. Wastewater treatment plants are basically, they're not really meant for taking out microplastics, they're meant for taking out organic matter. So, yeah, that's why there is microplastics in water.
So, Ishan, do you think it would be a good idea to advocate for these wastewater treatment plants to include like a microfiltration to their filtration system to
Yeah,
get rid of the microplastics?
Yeah, I think it would take a lot though. The problem is if they collect the microplastics, where would they put the microplastic? Because either you have to recycle, because normally people wouldn't take, if you wanted to recycle microplastics, people wouldn't 5mm plastics. But yeah, yeah, we should advocate for them. It's just the problem is where would they put the microplastics after they collect them in the filtration.
Okay.
You have plans? Sorry, Emmeline, go ahead.
I was just telling Ishan, thank you.
So my question to Ishan will be is basically whether you have plans to extend your research to other counties, or do you want to collect more samples from your the places that you have gone to already?
Yeah, I was thinking about doing more counties in New Jersey because that's only 13. But before, I was planning to do the comparison between bottled water in New Jersey, like bottled water, uh, bottled like bottled water companies that get their water from New Jersey. I was planning to do bottled water, and I was also planning to do tap water to see which one has more. But due to some problems, we couldn't do the bottled water, so we just stuck with tap water. So maybe for further research could be to do bottled water and the rest of the counties.
Great. Great. Thank you, Ishan. I think this has really been fascinating, and it's great that you have taken on this challenge and you have all these years ahead in terms of your school projects and college projects, and God knows, maybe PhD in microplastic, or maybe a doctor, as you had mentioned to us earlier on that you want to be a doctor. So it's great that you have taken this on as a challenge, and I hope that all the rest of us who are at least consumers of science can take his lead, can take Ishan's lead, and try to reduce the plastics that we use in our lives to mitigate this particular problem. And clearly a lot of research needs to be done as well. I think we can continue this trend of reading, knowing more about the microplastic, knowing about the expanse of microplastic. The article that I shared is just one. Maybe we can keep sharing other articles. Maybe you can write articles about plastic and how you are reducing plastic in your lives, and we will be happy to post it. So if you have ideas on how you are cutting down on plastic in your lives, in schools, communities, or becoming a eco activist or an eco ambassador by reducing plastic, definitely feel free to send us your ideas, write about it, even 2 paragraphs of your ideas, and something in action, something on the ground that you've been able to do. Maybe, Ishan, I am very interested to see the Taylor Park small river that we have over there. Does that have a lot of plastic?
Yeah.
And there are all these ducks there, so God knows what they are having. And plus, I want to know whether the water body in my town has plastic or not. So something just to think about, and keep thinking about this, keep working hard on it, and I'm sure we'll be able to, if all of us put in our collective thoughts and put in our collective activities together, we'll be able to reach somewhere. Tomorrow we will have our call again at 4 p.m. We will be reflecting on all the activities that we did so far, and so it will be great if you could join again and share your ideas, because up till now we've been having speakers. Tomorrow is a time to reflect and think about our own practices based on what we have heard so far. Great.
Yeah, and also the Essex County water that was actually from Millburn, from my tap water. So
I see.
yeah.
I see.
Can I ask one last question?
Yes, go ahead, please.
For Ishan, this is Mukund, and I wanted to know how you plan to spread awareness about microplastics in the state overall, and how you could extend awareness in the state and the nation as a whole.
First, I tried to, like, as you know, for the Thanksgiving party, I tried to spread awareness there first by reducing plastic there for cutlery and plates and food packaging. I tried to spread awareness in that party, and they were from different counties. The people who attended that, they were from different counties there as well. So hopefully they spread to their family and friends. So then hopefully it spreads, and I plan to even further spread it by doing programs in my town, and hopefully the nation will recognize it.
Ishan, I believe you mentioned recycling markers in your school. Could you tell us more about that?
Yeah. So it's called the Color Cycle program from Millburn Middle School. So basically, we put boxes in a lot of classes in our school, and then we put signs on that box to show that we want to recycle old markers, and Crayola held up a program for anyone. So one student from each school can represent this in their district or community. There's one in Wyoming school also. So basically, Crayola said that you can collect old markers from your school and then ship them to us, and then they will recycle the markers and instead of using new plastic for new markers, they would use those old markers as the plastic and just put more new ink in it, and then they would use those as new markers and say they're recycled. So we were in Millburn Middle School, we're collecting markers, and then we're gonna ship them to Crayola and see how much we collect. It's already going in Wyoming school also, so yeah.
Ishaan, if you have any flyer or something on this, because I'm the Wyoming Green Team leader, so I can definitely share it with the.
Oh, you're okay.
So I don't. I've seen it, but if I can, just remind people again, I think it will be good.
Yeah, and also there's another program I'm doing called School Tools to Go. That program is to collect gently used school supplies. It's not just markers, it's like all school supplies. So there was a box in the library, but now the library shut down. So, but we did collect a lot in the library, and we also collected a lot in the meeting at Bauer Center in September. So, we collected some supplies there, and a lot of people are also donating through the website. So
great. And then the Earth Day, which is now postponed to September, maybe you can do a collection there as well.
Yeah, we were planning to do a collection there.
Yeah. So great.
This is fantastic. Purnima?
Yes, Purnima. Yes.
How would I send the supplies? Like say from a different state.
So from a different state, I guess if someone's, if you would want to ship them, we can. That costs money. Maybe you could ship them here, and then because we were planning to go to India to donate them this summer, but that might be canceled. We might do it another time because of coronavirus. So you could either ship them, or if you're coming somewhere near here, just like drop them off. But
okay, sounds good.
Ishaan, so
yeah.
This Crayola program, is it like nationwide, or is it just specific to New Jersey County, or?
It's nationwide, and some of the states are also included in Canada. Some of Canada also does it.
So there may be other drop-off centers in different states, or?
Yeah, there's probably the programs going on in other schools also. Yeah.
Okay.
You have to, yeah.
Do you have like a link or something where we can know what schools are participating?
Yeah, I'm gonna get that right. I'm gonna put it in the chat.
So maybe we can get like different drop-off centers in the different states and look for a drop-off center nearest to us, possibly.
Okay, so
if you also email it to us, Ishaan, when we post this
video, I think I can email it. Yeah,
we'll include it in the video description as well.
Yeah,
that's a good idea. I think we have gone past our time, 5 o'clock. I don't want you guys to be waiting. So thank you, Ishaan, and thank you everyone for a very engaging discussion. At least I learned a lot from this discussion. And Ishaan, I hope you continue your research and all of us get inspired. And again, do our own bit. We will again a plea to send us some write-ups, send us your ideas so that we can post these ideas in. You never know, we might form a collective to just focus on microplastic in the coming days. So great, thank you so much, and feel free to join us again tomorrow at 4 p.m. same time, and we'll be discussing ideas that you have or other reflections that you have.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
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 Thank you.